Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? It is Saturday morning, and I am back out in the shop. I need to pick back up where I left off on these pins I was working on, but I've got another project I've been working on, so I put some time in on that this morning, and I got to a point where I came up with an idea, and I'm going to branch off and work on that idea, which if it works out, I'm going to actually record this one because if it works out, it'll be a cool little tip that I can share with you guys that may hopefully help some of you. Yeah, let me work on it a little bit, and then when I get done, my goal today is to keep focusing on this one project, and tomorrow, Sunday, to really work on these pins. But things are going really well, and if I get far enough along on this project, I'll get back on these pins today. You might remember where we left off. We had this pin here with the brass filings in it that had a bunch of little, air bubble marks and stuff. And I had just made some brass dust to fill those with. So that's where we're going to start when we get back to that. So let me get working on what my idea over here. Keep your fingers crossed it works because it'll be a cool video. I don't want to say anything about it because I don't know. I want to make sure it works first, right? I've had a lot of projects that went lately, but I'll keep you guys posted and take you along. I just want to show you guys these. These are some bushings that I made today. They're UHMW, and they are non-stick. I put a 60-degree cone in the back so I can put this on a live or a dead center. Whoops, almost dropped it. And there is no hole in the middle, which means that they will fit a 7mm tube, which is pretty darn awesome because I like to turn between centers sometimes, and I have been having to use a mandrel to finish my 7mm blanks because I didn't have a way to hold them. Now I do, and you'll see on Instagram, I shot a few seconds of footage there, and I may have shot some for the video that I made on these, but you'll see me putting a finish on a blank. Now that is going to be a cool idea. I'm sure once it gets out, it'll be stolen like crazy because it is so handy. The cool thing is when you use them, you put your blank between centers and it's a little bit off at first, right? But you can kind of adjust them up or down. And once you get the blank spinning smoothly, just give the tailstock a crank, lock it down. It holds them perfectly square. I had a large 4.25-inch blank in there, 7mm that I was goofing off with, just testing. And man, it worked great. I'm super excited about those. I don't think you'd be able to put a lot of pressure. Like I wouldn't want to do my micro meshing on there, but generally I don't. Generally I finish on the turn between centers. I take it off. I re-square the ends to get any CA that went over off of the ends, and I put it back on the normal bushings for finishing. So I think those are going to be perfect, and I'm really excited about having them. Hey guys, a couple days ago, the handle on my jet lathe stripped out. So I got online and I bought this new handle. And this little handle, it goes on the tailstock. I'm going to show you where it goes in a minute. $25. And I searched Amazon, I searched eBay, I searched all over. I could not find it any cheaper, but this is an OEM part. And man, I was surprised it cost so much. But let me show you the old one, what happened, and then we'll get that one swapped on real quick. Here's the old handle. And if you take a look inside, and I'm not sure how well you can see on the camera, but way down on the bottom there's some teeth. And those teeth grip these little teeth right here, and that's what allows you to tighten this. And you can pull it out like this to loosen it up so you can position the handle and then tighten, see? So there's a little spring that goes here, and I've got the spring. And then so this handle goes on here, the spring goes in, and then the screw goes in, and that holds the spring, pushes it into these teeth. But what had happened was it wasn't fully engaging the teeth, so over time it stripped out, and it was loose when I got it. It was every now and then it would slip, but I just kept using it and using it until finally I just ground all the teeth off of it. So let's go ahead, we'll put the new one in. It's really simple. This just threads out. And then our new one here will just thread in. And this is an OEM part from Jet. So now she's locked, unlocked, locked. We can pull this out, loosen it up. And that's how you get yourself adjusted to be able to lock it or unlock it. All right, well, I'm happy to have a new handle on there. It's going to make it much easier turning. I was using a pair of channel locks to tighten this down. Quite honestly, this is just going to go in the trash. I may take that screw out of there and hang on to that because there's nothing wrong with that. But these teeth are shot. This handle is shot, so these will go in the trash. We'll hang on to the screw and the spring just in case we need them. And yeah, that's about it for that. I'm happy to have this fixed because it's a whole lot more convenient to tighten with a handle than it is to have to tighten with a pair of channel locks. I've got this polyester resin blank that I turned, and it's got brass filings in it. And polyester resin, you don't actually put it in a pressure pot. So when I turned it, I found lots of little holes in the blank. They were air pockets. What I did is I made some brass filings, and I show in the video how I did that. And I put the brass filings into each of the little pock marks, put some CA over it, and hit it with some activator. And these are going to dry and cure for a while. But the bushings, notice I got it all over the bushings too. What I'm going to do with them is drop them in an old glass jar. And I'm going to cover them in acetone. We'll put the top on so we don't have to smell it. And we're just going to let them soak. I'm going to let this sit for about an hour because when you hit it with the activator, it cures the outside like that. But inside, it stays kind of gummy and gooey for a while. So we'll let that sit for about an hour and finish curing. And while that sits, these will sit and all of the gunk on them will dissolve. And then I can pull them out of there, wipe them off, and we can put this back on the lathe and go ahead and turn all these warts off of it and sand it up, and it should look pretty darn nice when finished. I'm back over to the 5 pins that I started turning last week. This one's ready to be assembled into a kit. This one needs some CA finish on the back blank, which I'm waiting on the CA. This one's ready to be assembled into a kit. That's the one that we just put the brass filings in, trying to fix it. So that leaves us with this blank. This was sent to me, this pin kit was sent to me by Art Alonzo, as well as the blank. This also came from Art. And we're going to get this on the lathe and turn it. Before I do, I've got to do a little research. I think this is just using 7mm bushings, but I want to make sure. I've never turned a Legacy Old Line pin kit. So we're going to look this up first and make sure what bushings we need to correctly turn this pin down to the proper diameter. And we'll get it on the lathe in a few moments and show you what that looks like. I did a little Googling and I found the bushing diameters for the Legacy Old Line pin. And I've brought one of my bushing containers over, and I'm going to go through here with some calipers and see if I have any bushings that match these dimensions so that I can turn this pin. This has been an adventure. I initially found that for the Legacy Old Line, the bushings for the cap are 0.487 and the bushings for the body are 0.398. Now, the Classic Elite from Penn State is the closest I could find. Looks like the cap bushings would be 0.486. That's 487. That's going to get me super close. But then you've got the front bushing here, which is 0.434, and that should be 0.398. So really, right at about 0.4. So what I'm going to do is use these bushings. We're going to turn this down, and then whenever we get close, see, because I've been taking a look at this. This says 0.449, see? So if I take another look at that, that's 0.435. I honestly think that once I turn that down, that's probably going to be about right. So we're going to go ahead and use these bushings. We're going to turn it down, and then we're going to do a whole lot of test fitting to see if we can't dial this in and get it to work perfectly. Well, I'm not happy, and Art, I owe you an apology. I got this thing turned down. It was absolute horror to turn. This thing was so grabby. I had a hard time turning it, but I finally got it turned. It looked pretty good. I'm sanding away just to take the tool marks out because there are a lot of them. I mean, if you look close, you can see them. And as I'm sanding, I hear crack. And it literally just came apart. All of the glue just loosened up and it came apart. And I don't know if I can fix it. I am just not happy. Not happy at all. That was frustrating because I was so scared I was going to blow it up with the skew. I bet I stropped my skew 7-8 times during the turning because I don't know what that material is, but I'd be turning and it would literally stop my lathe. It would catch. And it didn't catch in the way of a chip. It just sort of, like when you cut plastic with a saw, it melts back together. It was that kind of grabby. And I I can't believe I blew it up sanding it. So we're going to put it aside for now. That one I've had enough of for the time being. That was a tough, difficult, hard turn, and I need to put it aside and think about it a little bit and see what I think I can do to fix it. Yeah, we're just going to set it aside and move on to something else for the time being. Well, guys, I'm not super happy. I was pressing this blank into a kit, and it actually split. Let me flip around and show you, get a better look at it. Take a look. You can see the crack right there under the clip. It works its way around. There it is on the back side. It just literally cracked open, but that's okay. I really wasn't all that happy with it. Take a look at the blank, the black area there. Notice the brass showing through. I don't know if it wasn't pigmented enough or, well, obviously the tube wasn't painted, but I really wasn't overly happy with it. I didn't want to break it. I wanted to put it into a kit so that I could finish a video up for you guys, but it actually broke. So quite honestly, I'm just going to trash the footage for that video. We'll knock the cap out of the blank. For now, I'll put the blank aside. Maybe I can come back and try something at a later date, but yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and call that footage shot and toss it. On a brighter note, I did get that spalted stabilized Tamarand pressed into the Navigator kit, and I couldn't be happier with the fit and finish of this one. Thank goodness this one turned out. I'll be honest with you, it is probably 30 degrees out here today. I have a funny feeling that acrylic blank, you know, it should have given a little bit when I pressed that together because I used the reamer. I don't know what this thing is called, but basically you go through and it puts a chamfer on there. I had checked the inside of the tube. There was no glue or residue buildup in there. I'd cleaned it with the brush. It was literally ready to go. And as I pressed it in, I was very careful to make sure it was going straight into the tube, and it just popped. So I have a funny feeling that if I would have done this on a 50-degree day or a 60-degree day, I'd have a nice pin right now, but it is what it is. I'll be honest, I wasn't super happy with that blank. You know, it turned okay and everything, but it had its nuances, we'll say, that I just wasn't overly happy with it. So, but that's it for me on that one. I've got a blank here that has been drying. I don't know if I'm gonna put it back on the lathe or not today. This is the brass one that I've been working on. It's on its second round of filling holes. I've had a little bit of bad luck. I think I'm just gonna pause for a bit, and I've got an idea for something else I'd like to try in the shop. It's always a shame when you have to take a blank apart, but it happens. So just gotta do it, you know. And we'll put this kit up and we'll use it somewhere else. It's a shame, but I don't know. I'm getting ready to call it a night, and I thought I'd have a little fun. And this is the bottle cap from a craft soda called A Late One. And I really just want to have a good time. So I made a top. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was just a fun little project. I've been thinking about that and wanting to do that for a long time. I mean, I've got tons and tons of craft soda bottle caps, and I was looking for something to do with them. And I had a blank over here that I was doing a test on a couple of weeks ago. Didn't turn out, so it was only like a half a blank. And it was hard maple. I could have made maybe a Sierra out of it, but it wasn't pretty alone by itself. So I thought, well, you know, let's just try something else. So I drilled a hole in a bottle cap and made myself a top. So a lot of fun. You guys have a great evening. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you again real soon.